Good afternoon, beautiful people. Welcome to Bible in a Year with Lovie. We are on day 45. We're reading the Life Application Study Bible, 3rd edition, New Living Translation. Thank y'all so much for joining in. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe. The more you like the videos, the more they go forth. It's not about me. It's all about God and just spreading the word. So, with y'all's help, we can work together to spread the word of God. I mean, that's all we're doing here, right? So, I thank you for those of you that do follow along. I really appreciate your love and support. And I hope that these videos are touching a place deep within your heart that maybe you didn't realize needed to be touched, because they're definitely doing that for me. So this isn't just about me sharing the word with y'all. This is about my growth also. So I want y'all to know that I'm not any better than anybody, and I recognize that. I just want to share the word of God, the love of Jesus. That is what my heart is doing here. So with that said, today we're on Leviticus 15 and 16. Then we're going to flip over to Matthew chapter 27. I know we're getting close to the death of Jesus, and I just want y'all to be warned that it is very gruesome, but it's something that if you don't understand what Christ did for you when he died on the cross, when he suffered tremendously for you, then you need to hear it so you can understand just how much he really does love you. He loves us so much. In Leviticus, it's more like giving us information about Old Testament when the Israelites got freed from Egypt and God started giving them the rules, how to purify themselves from all kinds of different stuff. So verse 15, we're going to talk about bodily discharges. I'm interested to see, what exactly that entails. Kind of sounds nasty though, I ain't gonna lie. Anyways, so if you have a weak stomach, it might not be for you, but it's in the Bible. So I'm not going to pick it apart. I'm just going to read it. So if y'all are ready, Leviticus chapter 15, let's dive right in. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. Any man who has a bodily discharge is ceremonially unclean. This defilement is caused by his discharge, whether the discharge continues or stops. In either case, the man is unclean. Any bed on which the man with the discharge lies and anything on which he sits will be ceremonially unclean. So if you touch the man's bed, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you sit where the man with the discharge has sat, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you touch the man with the discharge, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If the man spits on you, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening." Well, I would hope wasn't nobody spitting on me anyway. I'm just saying, that is so rude. Verse 9, any saddle blanket on which the man rides will be ceremonially unclean. If you touch anything that is under the man, you will be unclean until evening. You must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If the man touches you without first rinsing his hands, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. Any clay pot the man touches must be broken, and any wooden utensil he touches must be rinsed with water. When the man with the discharge is healed, he must count off 7 days for a period of purification. Then he must wash his clothes and bathe himself in fresh water, and he will be ceremonially clean. On the 8th day, he must get 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and come before the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle and give his offerings to the priest. The priest will offer one bird for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. Through this process, the priest will purify the man before the Lord for his discharge. Whenever a man has an emission of semen, he must bathe his entire body in water, and he will remain ceremonially unclean until the next evening. Any clothing or leather with semen on it must be washed in water, and it will remain unclean until evening. After a man and a woman have sexual intercourse, they must each bathe in water, and they will remain unclean until the next evening. I mean, I wouldn't have no problem with that. Back when I used to partake in those kind of activities, I definitely was quick to get up and take a shower. The after effects. But I don't have to worry about that no more, because, that single life, that kingdom single life, one day, if it's ever intended for me to interact in that way ever again, God will send me a husband. But until then, I'm purified, and I'm going to stay that way. So, that's that. Whenever a woman has her menstrual period, she will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days. And I'm sorry, that might have been a little bit of TMI, but, I'm just saying. Menstrual period. Okay. I'm so glad I don't have that problem no more either. Anyone who touches her during that time will be unclean until evening. Anything on which the woman lies or sits during the time of her period will be unclean. If any of you touch her bed, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you touch any object she has sat on, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you'll remain unclean until evening. This includes her bed or any other object she has sat on. You will be unclean until evening if you touch it. If a man has sexual intercourse with her and her blood touches him, her menstrual impurity will be transmitted to him. Ugh. He will remain unclean for 7 days, and any bed on which he lies will be unclean. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. Gross. If a woman has a flow of blood for many days that is unrelated to her menstrual period, or if the blood continues beyond the normal period, she is ceremonially unclean. As during her menstrual period, the woman will be unclean as long as the discharge continues. Any bed she lies on and any object she sits on during that time will be unclean, just as during her normal menstrual period. If any of you touch these things, you'll be ceremonially unclean. You must wash your clothes and bathe yourselves in water, and you'll remain unclean until evening. When the woman's bleeding stops, she must count off 7 days. Then she will be ceremonially clean. On the 8th day, she must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and present them to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will offer one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. Through this process, the priest will purify her before the Lord for the ceremonial impurity caused by her bleeding. This is how you will guard the people of Israel from ceremonial uncleanliness. Otherwise, they would die, for their impurity would defile my tabernacle that stands among them. These are the instructions for dealing with an emission of semen or a woman during her menstrual period. It applies to any man or woman who has a bodily discharge, and to a man who has sexual intercourse with a woman who is ceremonially unclean. So there's that. Now we got that out of the way. Ugh. Anyways. Chapter 16. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's 2 sons, who died after they entered the Lord's presence and burned the wrong kind of fire before him. The Lord said to Moses, "Warn your brother Aaron not to enter the most holy place behind the inner curtain whenever he chooses. If he does, he will die. For the ark's cover, the place of atonement, is there." Excuse me. "And I myself am present in the cloud above the atonement cover." When Aaron enters the sanctuary area, he must follow these instructions fully. He must bring a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He must put on his linen tunic and the linen undergarments worn next to his body. He must tie the linen sash around his waist and put the linen turban on his head. These are sacred garments, so he must bathe himself in water before he puts them on. Aaron must take from the community of Israel 2 male goats for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. Aaron will present his own bull as a sin offering to purify himself and his family, making them right with the Lord. Then he must take the 2 male goats and present them. I'm sorry, y'all. And present them to the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle. He is to cast sacred lots to determine which goat will be reserved as an offering to the Lord and which will carry the sins of the people to the wilderness of Azazel. Yeah, Azazel. Yeah, that's got to be right. Aaron will then present as a sin offering the goat chosen by lot for the Lord. The other goat, the scapegoat, the scapegoat, chosen by lot, the scapegoat chosen by lot to be sent away will be kept alive, standing before the Lord. When it is sent away to Azazel in the wilderness, the people will be purified and made right with the Lord. The scapegoat. Okay. Aaron will present his own bull as a sin offering to purify himself and his family, making them right with the Lord. After he has slaughtered the bull as a sin offering, he will fill an incense burner with burning coals from the altar that stands before the Lord. Then he will take 2 handfuls of fragrant powdered incense and will carry the burner and the incense behind the inner curtain. There in the Lord's presence, he will put the incense on the burning coals so that a cloud of incense will rise over the ark's cover, the place of atonement, that rests on the Ark of the Covenant. If he follows these instructions, he will not die. Then he must take some of the blood of the bull, dip his finger in it, and sprinkle it on the east side of the atonement cover. He must sprinkle blood 7 times with his finger in front of the atonement cover. Then Aaron must slaughter the first goat as a sin offering for the people and carry its blood behind the inner curtain. There he will sprinkle the goat's blood. I'm sorry, y'all. Can't quit yawning. I don't know what's wrong with me. Goodness gracious. Probably because I had to go out of town to pick my daughter up late last night. And I didn't get in till late. And then I had to wake up early this morning and get my grandbaby off to school. Well, I had to get her ready to school and then get her to the bus. And I'm just tired, I think. I probably need a nap. I'm probably about to do a nap. It looks like I need a nap. Anyways, I apologize for steady yawning. And I know that it's contagious. And I hope I'm not making all of y'all have a yawning spell too. But I apologize if I am. So, we're going to get through this. Okay. Then Aaron must slaughter the first goat as a sin offering for the people and carry its blood behind the inner curtain. There he will sprinkle the goat's blood over the atonement cover and in front of it, just as he did with the bull's blood. Through this process, he will purify the most holy place, and he will do the same for the entire tabernacle. Because of the defiling sin and rebellion of the Israelites, no one else is allowed inside the tabernacle when Aaron enters it for the purification ceremony in the most holy place. No one may enter until he comes out again after... I'm so sorry. After purifying himself, his family and all the congregation of Israel, making them right with the Lord. Then Aaron will come out to purify the altar that stands before the Lord. He will do this by taking some of the blood from the bull and the goat and putting it on each of the horns of the altar. Then he must sprinkle the blood with his finger 7 times over the altar. In this way, he will cleanse it from Israel's defilement and make it holy. When Aaron has finished purifying the most holy place and the tabernacle and the altar, he must present the live goat. He will lay both of his hands on the goat's head and confess over it all the wickedness, rebellion, and sins of the people of Israel. In this way, he will transfer the people's sins to the head of the goat. Scapegoat. Okay, scapegoat. Scapegoat is who takes the blame for something that somebody else did. Scapegoat. Okay. Then a man specially chosen for the task will drive the goat into the wilderness. As the goat goes into the wilderness, it will carry all the people's sins upon itself into a desolate land. Okay. So that's where the term scapegoat came from. It actually came from the Bible. A scapegoat took the sins of all the people into the wilderness with it, into a desolate land, according to the Bible. So, we use that term loosely, for people who are taking the blame for something they didn't do, yeah. So that's where the term came from. It was actually a part of the original covenant. Isn't that interesting? I think it's interesting. When Aaron goes back into the tabernacle, he must take off the linen garments he was wearing when he entered the most holy place, and he must leave the garments there. Then he must bathe himself in water in a sacred place, put on his regular garments, and go out to sacrifice a burnt offering for himself and a burnt offering for the people. Through this process, he will purify himself and the people, making them right with the Lord. He must then burn all the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man chosen to drive the scapegoat into the wilderness of Azazel must wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. Then he may return to the camp. The bull and the goat presented as sin offerings, whose blood Aaron takes into the most holy place for the purification ceremony, will be carried outside the camp. The animal's hides, internal organs, and dung are all to be burned. The man who burns them must wash his clothes and bathe himself in water before returning to the camp. On the 10th day of the appointed month in early autumn, you must deny yourselves. Neither native-born Israelites nor foreigners living among you may do any kind of work. This is a permanent lot for you. On that day, offerings of purification will be made for you, and you will be purified in the Lord's presence from all your sins. It will be a Sabbath day of complete rest for you, and you must deny yourselves. This is a permanent law for you. In future generations, the purification ceremony will be performed by the priest who has been anointed, and ordained to serve as high priest in the place of his ancestor Aaron. He will put on the holy linen garments and purify the most holy place, the tabernacle, the altar, the priest, and the entire congregation. This is a permanent law for you, to purify the people of Israel from their sins, making them right with the Lord once each year. Moses followed all these instructions exactly as the Lord had commanded him. Okay. That's all of Leviticus for today. We'll pick up tomorrow in 17. We'll read 17 and 18. Right now, we're going to flip over to Matthew chapter 27. And we're going to read about a third of it. So we're going to read 1 through 26. Matthew chapter 27. I'm a little sensitive about these pages right here, man. I'm more than a little sensitive. I get really emotional when I'm reading this part of the Bible, because it really touches my heart to know how much Jesus really loved us. Like, what he's about to go through is like so awful, like, we read yesterday how he got, handed over. He was betrayed by Judas, and, Judas handed him over to the Roman officials. He got accused of, blasphemy, pretty much. They call him guilty. They say he deserves to die. They were spitting in his face and beating him with their fists. They slapped him. They were mocking him, and it was just really terrible and ugly. And Peter did indeed deny Jesus 3 times before the rooster crowed in yesterday's reading. So I just want y'all to know that It's going to be so much more ugly, and it's very tender spot. It absolutely hurts my heart whenever I see how much Jesus really loved us. So, Matthew chapter 27. If y'all are ready, let's go. Very early in the morning, the leading priest and the elders of the people met again to lay plans for putting Jesus to death. Then they bound him, led him away, and took him to Pilate, the Roman governor. When Judas, who had betrayed him, realized that Jesus had been condemned to die, he was filled with remorse. So he took the 30 pieces of silver back to the leading priest and the elders. "I have sinned," he declared, "for I've betrayed an innocent man." "What do we care?" they retorted. "That's your problem." Then Judas threw the silver coins down in the temple and went out and hung himself. Well, it says hanged himself, but yeah, Judas hung himself. Yeah. The leading priest picked up the coins. "It wouldn't be right to put this money in the temple treasury," they said, "since it was payment for murder." After some discussion, they finally decided to buy the potter's field, and they made it into a cemetery for foreigners. That is why the field is still called the Field of Blood. This fulfilled the prophecy of Jeremiah that says, "They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price at which he was valued by the people of Israel, and purchased the potter's field as the Lord directed." Now Jesus was standing before Pilate, the Roman governor. "Are you the king of the Jews?" the governor asked him. Jesus replied, "You have said it." But when the leading priest and the elders made their accusations against him, Jesus remained silent. "Don't you hear all these charges they're bringing against you?" Pilate demanded. But Jesus made no response to any of the charges, much to the governor's surprise. Now it was the governor's custom each year during the Passover celebration to release one prisoner to the crowd, anyone they wanted. This year there was a notorious prisoner, a man named Barabbas. As the crowds gathered before Pilate's house that morning, he asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" He knew very well that the religious leaders had arrested Jesus out of envy. Just then, as Pilate was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent him this message: "Leave that innocent man alone. I suffered through a terrible nightmare about him last night." Meanwhile, the leading priest and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas to be released and for Jesus to be put to death. So the governor asked again, "Which of these two do you want me to release to you?" The crowd shouted back, "Barabbas." Pilate responded, "Then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" They shouted back, "Crucify him." "Why?" Pilate demanded. "What crime has he committed?" But the mob roared even louder, "Crucify him!" Pilate saw that he wasn't getting anywhere and that a riot was developing. So he sent for a bowl of water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I'm innocent of this man's blood. The responsibility is yours." And all the people yelled back, "We will take responsibility for his death, we and our children." So Pilate released Barabbas to them. He ordered Jesus flogged with the lead-tipped whip, then turned him over to the Russian soldiers to be crucified. Oh, it just breaks my heart, man. It just breaks my heart. How could you hear this story and it not touch you in such a way? Like, Jesus was an innocent man. This just goes to show how wicked the human heart is. They have a murderer, a notorious murderer who they would rather be set free than an innocent Jesus. Like, it just breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart, man. Like, he loved us so much. He loves us so much. He goes through so much just to save us. And we don't even deserve to be saved. Yeah. Anyways. That's all for today. We'll read Leviticus 17 and 18 tomorrow. We'll pick back up in Matthew 27 tomorrow. And we'll go from there. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. I really just pray that, that y'all get something from it. It's just my intention to get the word out. I know that there are people who don't have access to Bibles, and if I can help with them being able to at least hear the word, then I feel like I'm doing my part. And I know that that's what God called me to do, so I just want to be obedient in that. I love y'all. I thank y'all, the ones of you who follow along, who message me. I really appreciate your encouragement. Sometimes it is hard to record these videos, and just knowing that I have y'all following along with me, like, it makes the biggest difference. It makes the biggest difference. It makes it worth it. Like, Jesus came for the one. He died for the one. He died for me, and he wants you to. So I'm happy to just even be able to reach just one of y'all. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to be a vessel for God to use. I just pray, here I am, God, use me. Here I am. So with that said, if you don't have a relationship with God, I would just want to encourage you to consider it. Consider, if you've never tried God, if you've never given your life to Him, if you've never given Him a shot, then maybe you should just try it out. Give Jesus a shot for a year. See how much different your life is. It's worth it. It's worth it. I promise it's worth it. If you want to see a change, you have to be the change. We lead by example, we follow by design. And if it's not a God thing, it's not a good thing. Use your discernment. God gives us discernment. Use your discernment. Like, He'll show you in your spirit whether something is for you or not. So I encourage you to take the right path. With that said, man, I hope all y'all have a wonderful, blessed rest of your day. And don't forget to love like Jesus.